"This is your last chance, human. Do it now or never," stated the shy alien girl firmly. Eli Carter did not expect the message to be marked urgent. Nothing on the station was ever urgent. The station itself had existed longer than most recorded civilizations. Its halls were wide, silent, and smooth, built by a species that valued calm over speed. Even emergencies here were handled with polite patience. So when Eli saw the pale blue symbol flashing on his wrist console, his first thought was that it was a mistake. He stopped walking. The corridor around him curved gently, glowing with soft light that had no visible source. Tall windows showed the slow drift of stars, unmoving like a painting hung outside the universe. A few aliens passed him, tall ones, small ones, floating ones, but none hurried. None ever did. Eli checked the message again. Summons immediate. And Lyri was shy. He had met her only twice before. She had spoken softly, barely meeting his eyes, her thin hands always folded together as if she was afraid they might do something wrong on their own. She had apologized 3 times for interrupting him, even though he was the one asking questions. She was the last being Eli expected to send an urgent summons. He sighed quietly and changed direction. Observation Chamber 7 was sealed when he arrived. That alone made his stomach tighten. Normally, the chambers were open spaces where delegates could come and go. This door, however, was dark and solid without markings. When Eli approached, it opened silently, sliding apart like it had been waiting for him. Inside, the room was small, too small. There were no grand windows, no star views, no decorative lights, only smooth gray walls and a single table in the center. 2 seats faced each other. Lyri was already there. She stood when he entered, her movements quick and nervous. She was shorter than most humans, with pale lavender skin and large, dark eyes that reflected the room's light. Her translator collar shimmered faintly against her neck. "Envoy Carter," she said. Her voice was steadier than he remembered. That worried him. "Archivist Lyri," Eli replied, offering a polite nod. "Your message said this was urgent. Is something wrong with the records?" Lyri did not answer right away. She gestured to the chair opposite her. Eli sat, watching her carefully. She did not sit down. Instead, she remained standing, her hands clenched together in front of her. "Human envoy," she said slowly, choosing each word with care, "you must listen to me without interruption." Eli raised an eyebrow but nodded. "All right." Lyri took a breath, then another. "This is your last chance," she said. "Do it now or never." The words hung in the air. Eli stared at her. "I'm sorry," he said carefully. "Last chance to do what exactly?" Her eyes flicked to the walls, then back to him. The room hummed softly, a low sound Eli realized was the chamber's privacy field activating. Whatever was said here would not be recorded by the station's systems. That realization sent a cold feeling down his spine. Lyri swallowed. "Humanity is being evaluated," she said. Eli relaxed slightly. "That happens all the time. We've been evaluated since first contact. Cultural reports, trade impact, migration risk." "No," Lyri said firmly. The word cut through him like a blade made of air. "This is not a cultural review," she continued. "It is a classification finalization." Eli's heart skipped. That doesn't make sense," he said. "Final classifications take decades, sometimes centuries. We haven't even been part of the wider galaxy for—" "I know," Lyri said. She finally sat down, but her posture was rigid, her back straight like she was holding herself together by force alone. "The process was accelerated," she said. "Not by choice, by pattern." Eli leaned forward. "What pattern?" Lyri hesitated. Then she did something Eli had never seen her do before. She met his eyes. "Human behavior," she said. For a moment, Eli said nothing. He had learned long ago that silence made many species uncomfortable. Humans were one of the few who used it deliberately. He watched Lyri carefully as the seconds passed. She did not look away. "That's very vague," Eli said finally. "Yes," Lyri replied, "because the system does not understand details, only outcomes." She lifted one thin hand and a faint projection appeared above the table. Lines of light twisted and formed symbols Eli did not recognize. They moved slowly like thoughts taking shape. "This station," Lyri said, "is not only a meeting place, it is a decision engine. It observes civilizations over time and assigns them roles." "Roles," Eli repeated. "Limits," she corrected softly. Eli felt his jaw tight. "And what limit is being discussed for humanity?" Lyri's fingers trembled. She lowered her hand. The projection vanished. If the classification completes, she said, human expansion will be restricted, not openly. There will be no declaration, no punishment. Then how? Eli asked. Larry's voice dropped. Access will become difficult, trade routes will close, research permissions will slow, cooperative projects will be delayed, always for reasonable reasons, always politely. Eli exhaled sharply. That's strangulation, he said. Yes, Larry agreed, quietly over time. He pushed back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. And this decision is being made now? Moments, Larry said. In system time. Eli stood. He began pacing the small room, his boots making soft sounds against the smooth floor. This is insane, he muttered. We've done nothing hostile, we follow agreements, we share data, You adapt, Larry said. He stopped. What? You adapt, she repeated, quickly. Without central direction, without consensus. She looked almost apologetic. The system does not know how to classify that, she said. It prefers stability, predictable growth, measured change. And humans? Eli asked. Larry's lips pressed together. Humans change, she said. Even when they should not, especially when they should not. Eli laughed once, short and humorless. That's not a crime. No, Larry said, but it is disruptive. Silence filled the room again. Eli turned back to her. You said this was our last chance. That means there's still a way to stop it. Larry nodded. There is one remaining interaction window, she said. Undocumented, unused. Eli narrowed his eyes. Why unused? Because no species has ever chosen it, she said. He studied her face. And you're telling me, he said slowly, because, Larry looked down at her hands, because I am an archivist, she said. I observe patterns, and because I believe the system is wrong. That surprised him more than anything else she had said. Archivists did not believe. They recorded. You're risking a lot, Eli said quietly. Yes, she replied, I know. He walked back to the table and sat down. All right, he said. Tell me what this option is. Larry took a deep breath. The system allows one final act before classification, she said. A declaration not of intent, not of compliance. Then what? Eli asked. Her voice was very soft now. A declaration of self, Eli frowned. You'll have to explain that in simpler terms. She gave a small, nervous nod. The system assumes every civilization wants to present its best version, she said. Strength, unity, control, stability. That sounds accurate, Eli said. Yes, Larry replied. For everyone except humans, he blinked. What does that mean? It means, she said carefully, that if you attempt to show perfection, the system will mark you as deceptive. If you show restraint, it will mark you as unstable. If you show ambition, it will mark you as dangerous. Eli stared at her. So no matter what we do, we lose. Larry shook her head. No, she said, no matter what you do normally, you lose. The hum of the chamber deepened. The declaration window is opening, she said urgently. Soon. Eli felt his pulse quicken, and if we don't act. Larry looked up at him, her eyes wide and unblinking. Then humanity's future will be decided, she said, by something that has never been human. The words settled heavily between them. Eli leaned back, staring at the ceiling. He thought of Earth. Of loud cities and quiet nights, of arguments and jokes and mistakes and second chances, of humans doing the wrong thing, learning and then doing better, or at least trying. He thought of how messy humanity was. How much time? He asked. Larry checked the console embedded in the table. Less than one standard cycle, she said. Minutes. Eli closed his eyes. When he opened them, there was a strange calm in his expression. All right, he said. Let's hear it. Larry's breath caught. The declaration will accept only one thing, she said. Raw truth, unfiltered, no framing, no defense. Eli smiled faintly. That's a terrible idea, he said. Yes, Larry agreed. They looked at each other. Outside the chamber, unseen systems shifted. Calculations approached completion. A decision waited to be finalized. Inside, a shy archivist and a human envoy stood at the edge of something neither of their species had ever tried before. And for the first time since arriving at the station, Eli Carter felt something close to hope. The room felt smaller now. Eli Carter could not explain why. The walls had not moved, and the ceiling was still the same smooth curve of gray metal. Yet the air felt heavier, like the space itself was waiting for him to make a mistake. Larry stood beside the table, her eyes fixed on the glowing console embedded in its surface. Symbols shifted and rearranged themselves, moving in calm, steady patterns that did not match the urgency in her posture. The window is opening, she said quietly. Eli stepped closer. How long does it stay open? One chance, Larry replied. One declaration. Once submitted, it cannot be changed. Eli let out a slow breath. That sounds very final. Yes, she said, the system prefers final things. He glanced at her. And you don't. Larry hesitated, then gave a small shake of her head. No, she admitted, I do not. That alone told Eli how serious this situation was. Larry followed rules. She lived by records and procedures. For her to stand here breaking protocol meant something inside her had already crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. Explain it again, Eli said. Slowly. Larry nodded. She moved her hands and a new projection appeared above the table. This one was simpler, shapes instead of symbols, circles connected by thin lines, some bright, some dim. The galaxy is managed by layered systems, she said. Not governments, not councils. Systems, Eli watched closely. These systems observe behavior, she continued. They do not judge morality, only patterns, outcomes, risk. Like a very big math problem, Eli said. Yes, Larry agreed. A problem that believes it already knows all possible answers. She pointed to one of the circles. Each species is reduced to a model, a prediction. When uncertainty becomes too high, the system intervenes. And humanity is too uncertain, Eli said. Larry's fingers tightened slightly. Yes, Eli folded his arms. Because we don't act the same way every time. Because you change even when change is dangerous, she corrected. He gave a faint smile. That sounds like survival to me. To the system, Larry said, it sounds like instability. She moved her hand again. Several lines between the circles began to flicker. Humanity's model has crossed the acceptable threshold, she said. Not because of violence, not because of expansion. Then why? Eli asked. Larry looked at him carefully. Because you solve problems that should take generations, she said, and because you do it without waiting for permission. Eli's smile faded. That's it, he said. We're being quietly erased because we're efficient. Because you are unpredictable, Larry said softly. And because unpredictability spreads. He turned away, rubbing his face. Unbelievable, he muttered. Larry waited. She had learned that humans often needed a moment when faced with unfair systems. They argued with them internally before deciding how to respond. Okay, Eli said finally, turning back. So the system is about to lock us into a box, and the only way out is this declaration. Yes, Larry said, and no one has ever used it. No one, she confirmed. Why does it even exist, then? Eli asked. Larry's voice lowered. Because the creators of the system were afraid. Eli blinked. Afraid of what? Of being wrong, she said. The answer surprised him. The declaration of self, Larry continued, was designed as a final correction, a way for a species to say, your model of us is incomplete. And why has no one used it? Eli asked. Because it requires something most civilizations cannot accept, she said. What's that? She met his eyes again. Total honesty, Larry said, without explanation, without justification. Eli frowned. That doesn't sound so bad. It is, she said, because the system does not reward weakness. He leaned back against the table. Humans don't see weakness the same way. Larry tilted her head slightly. That is becoming clear. The console chimed softly. Larry stiffened. The window is stabilizing. We must decide. Eli crossed his arms again, thinking, what happens if we try to explain ourselves instead? He asked. The system will reject the declaration, Larry said. It will read it as manipulation. And if we try to show our best side? He asked. It will mark you as incomplete, she replied, possibly deceptive. Eli let out a dry laugh. So we can't pretend to be better than we are, and we can't pretend to be simpler than we are. Yes, Larry said. Eli stared at the projection. Then what exactly are you suggesting? He asked. Larry took a breath. You must show the system who you are, she said, not as a united image, not as a controlled message. But as what? Eli pressed. As you truly are, she said, contradictions included. Silence filled the room again. Eli thought of human history, of arguments and revolutions, of kindness and cruelty existing side by side, of progress born from mistakes. That's messy, he said. Yes, Larry replied. And dangerous, he added. Yes, she agreed again. He looked at her sharply. Then why do you think this will work? Larry hesitated longer this time. Because the system has never encountered a species that admits its own flaws, she said, and continues anyway. Eli's expression softened. We don't admit them easily, he said. We fight about them first. Larry gave a small, almost nervous smile. Yes, I have observed. The console chimed again, louder this time. Larry's hands trembled slightly as she placed them on the table. "The window is fully open," she said. "If we do nothing, the classification will complete." Eli closed his eyes. He imagined the slow future Larry had described, trade routes quietly closing, research denied. Humanity slowly boxed in by polite refusals and reasonable delays, not destroyed, just limited. He opened his eyes. "All right," he said. "Let's talk about content." Larry straightened. "You have decided." "I haven't decided yet," he corrected. "I've decided to consider it." "That is acceptable," she said carefully. "What exactly does the declaration accept?" Eli asked. Larry tapped the console. A blank field appeared in the air. No symbols, no prompts. "Anything," she said, "but only once." "No structure?" Eli asked. "No guidance," she replied. "No corrections." Eli stared at the empty space. "So we could say anything," he murmured. "Yes." He paced slowly. "If we tell the system we are peaceful," he said, "it won't believe us." "Yes," Larry said. "If we tell it we are dangerous," he continued, "it will restrict us." "Yes. If we tell it we are complicated." "It does not understand that word," Larry said. Eli stopped pacing. "Then we don't tell it," he said. Larry blinked. "Don't tell it what?" "Anything it expects," he said. She stared at him. "I do not understand." Eli looked at her, eyes sharp now. "The system expects a statement," he said. "A summary, a label." "Yes," Larry said slowly. "Then we don't summarize," he said. "We don't label." Her breath caught. "Then what do we do?" Eli smiled, small and serious. "We show it," he said. Larry frowned. "Show it how?" "With data," he replied. "Raw, unfiltered, everything." Her eyes widened. "That would include," she began. "Yes," Eli said. "Our failures, our conflicts, our disagreements, our mistakes." "No species has ever done that," Larry whispered. "Exactly," he said. She shook her head. "The system may interpret that as chaos." "It already thinks we are chaos," Eli replied calmly. "At least this way it's honest chaos." Larry's hands clenched together. "You would expose your own internal divisions," she said. "Your wars of words, your unrest." Eli nodded. "That's part of being human." "And you are not afraid?" she asked. He was quiet for a moment. "Of course I am," he said, "but fear hasn't stopped us before." The console emitted a low warning tone. Larry looked down. "Time is narrowing." Eli stepped closer to the table. "If we do this," he said, "what happens to you?" Larry froze. "That is not relevant," she said. "It is to me," Eli replied. She looked away. "I am violating multiple protocols," she admitted. "If discovered, my role as archivist will end." "That sounds serious," Eli said. "It is," she replied softly. "Archivists do not act, we observe." "And yet," Eli said gently, "here you are." She swallowed. "I observed enough," she said. "I saw what happens to species labeled inconvenient. They fade, slowly, quietly." Eli felt a surge of anger at that word. "Inconvenient," he repeated. Larry nodded. "You are not dangerous," she said. "You are disruptive to prediction." He smiled faintly. "We've been called worse." The console chimed again, faster now. Larry looked up, fear and resolve mixed in her eyes. "This is your last chance, human," she said firmly. "Do it now or never." Eli placed his hands on the table. "Okay," he said. "We do it." Larry inhaled sharply. "You are certain?" she asked. "No," he said honestly, "but humans rarely are." He looked at the empty declaration field. "We show them everything," he said. "Not just our best moments." Larry nodded slowly. "The system will record it permanently," she warned. "Good," Eli said. "So history can't pretend we were something else." She hesitated, then reached out. Her finger hovered over the activation symbol. "Once I start," she said, "I cannot stop it." Eli met her eyes. "Then don't stop," he said. Larry pressed the symbol. The blank field exploded into motion. Streams of data poured outward faster than Eli could follow. Images, voices, records, emotions, humanity's past and present layered and complex. The room filled with light. Larry gasped softly. "The system is confused," she whispered. Eli watched the data flow, heart pounding. "Good," he said quietly. "Let it be." Outside the chamber, ancient systems hesitated, models faltered, predictions failed. And for the first time since its creation, the galaxy's greatest decision engine was forced to look at a species that refused to be simple. The light did not fade. It grew. Streams of information filled the chamber, flowing like rivers made of sound and color. Eli Carter stood still, his eyes wide, watching fragments of humanity spill into the air. Voices speaking in hundreds of languages, images of cities, fields, oceans, arguments, laughter, failures, and hope. Lyra stepped back, her breath shallow. "This is too much," she whispered. Eli did not answer. He could not. His chest felt tight as pieces of his species, soul unfolded in front of something ancient and unfeeling. The system had expected a statement. Humans had given it a life story. The data did not organize itself neatly. It clashed, contradicted, overlapped. One moment showed compassion, another selfishness. One voice cried for peace, another shouted in anger. Mistakes followed breakthroughs. Progress followed disaster. Lyra stared, frozen. "No species would ever show this," she said softly. "They would hide it, edit it, control it." Eli swallowed. "We tried that once," he said. "It never worked." The console let out a long, unfamiliar sound, not a warning, not a confirmation. It was a pause. Lyra's eyes widened. "The system is slowing," she said. "I have never seen this." The flowing data stuttered. Some streams froze in place. Others reversed, replaying moments again and again, as if the system was trying to understand what it was seeing. Eli felt a strange mix of fear and pride. "Good," he murmured. "It's paying attention." Suddenly, the chamber lights dimmed. The hum of the privacy field deepened, vibrating faintly through the floor. Lyra pressed her hand against the table to steady herself. "The system is reallocating processing layers," she said, voice shaking. "It is prioritizing humanity." "That sounds important," Eli said. "It is unprecedented," she replied. The data shifted again. This time it began to separate, not into clean categories, but into patterns. Humans helping strangers, humans fighting each other, humans learning from failure, humans repeating mistakes. The system highlighted contradictions. Lyra watched closely. "It is trying to resolve you," she said. Eli frowned. "Resolve us how?" "By forcing coherence," she said. "It wants a single answer." He shook his head. "There isn't one." The console pulsed. A new projection appeared, tall, abstract, and cold. It was not a voice or a face, but Eli could feel its presence. The system was engaging directly. Lyra gasped softly. "It is requesting clarification," she said. Eli stepped forward. "What kind of clarification?" Her fingers trembled as she read the symbols forming in the air. "It asks," she said slowly, "which version of humanity is accurate." Eli laughed once, sharp and nervous. "All of them," he said. Lyra looked at him. "The system does not accept multiple truths." "Then it's about to learn," Eli replied. The projection shifted, waiting. Lyra hesitated. "If you answer incorrectly, there is no correct answer," Eli said. "That's the point." He stepped closer to the light, his reflection breaking into fragments across its surface. "Tell it this," he said. "Humans are not one thing, we never were." Lyra swallowed. "It may classify that as instability." "Then tell it why we survive anyway," Eli said. She looked at him uncertain. "Because we argue," she asked. He smiled faintly. "Because we adapt." Lyra took a deep breath and translated. The projection pulsed again, this time slower. The system responded, not with acceptance, not with rejection, but with analysis. "It is comparing," Lyra said, "human adaptability against system failure models." "What does it see?" Eli asked. Her eyes widened slightly. "It sees correction without collapse," she said, "recovery without central command." Eli felt a spark of excitement. "That's us," he said. "We fall, we get up. Sometimes we argue about how, but we do." The system processed further. Moments from human history replayed, diseases fought with cooperation, disasters answered by strangers helping strangers, knowledge shared freely and selfishly at the same time. Lyra's voice was barely above a whisper. "The system does not understand how you progress without convergence," she said. Eli shrugged. "Neither do we, but it works." The projection flickered. Then something strange happened. The system asked another question. Lyra froze as she read it. "It asks," she said slowly, "why humans continue even when outcomes are uncertain." Eli did not hesitate. "Because stopping guarantees failure," he said. Lyra translated. For a long moment, nothing happened. The room was silent except for the low hum of energy. Eli's heart pounded. "Lyra," he said quietly, "is this bad?" She did not answer right away. Then slowly she shook her head. "No," she said, "this is new." The system began restructuring its models, not refining. Rebuilding, lines of prediction shattered and reformed, probability curves bent in unfamiliar ways. Humanity's data refused to settle into a single path. "It cannot finish the classification," Lyra said in disbelief. "You exceed boundary conditions." Eli let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "So what happens now?" The console chimed, not a warning but a request. Larry stared at it, stunned. It is asking to observe humanity further, she said. Indefinitely. That sounds like a delay, Eli said. No, Larry replied. It is a reclassification. She looked up at him, eyes shining. You are not being labeled dangerous, she said, or safe. Then what? Eli asked. Larry smiled, a real one, not shy, not hidden. Essentially unpredictable, she said. Eli laughed softly. We'll take it. The chamber lights brightened again. The pressure in the air eased. Outside the room, systems across the station adjusted. Restrictions halted mid-process. Quiet decisions unraveled. Humanity's future, once moments from being sealed, drifted back into uncertainty. But this time it was human uncertainty. Larry sank into her chair, exhausted. I have changed history, she whispered. Eli sat across from her. So have we, he said. She looked at him. They will know I interfered. Probably, Eli said, and I will face consequences, she added. He nodded. Humans know a thing or two about that. She gave a small, tired laugh. Was it worth it? She asked. Eli thought of Earth again, of messy cities and stubborn people. Of failure and hope tangled together. Yes, he said, every time. The system issued one final update before withdrawing. Larry read it silently, then looked up. It states, she said, that humanity represents a new category, one the system must learn from. Eli smiled. Welcome to the club, he said. Larry looked at the fading projection, then back at him. You have frightened the system, she said. He shrugged. We do that. The chamber door slid open. For the first time since entering, the corridor outside felt different, not calmer. Not louder, just aware. As they stepped out, Larry paused. Envoy Carter, she said. Yes. Thank you, she said simply. He nodded. Thank you for giving us the chance. Behind them, the ancient station continued its quiet watch. But somewhere deep within its systems, a new truth had been recorded. Humanity could not be predicted. And for the first time, the galaxy did not know what would happen next. The galaxy did not change all at once. At first, nothing looked different. Trade lanes still glowed with steady traffic. Delegates still walked calmly through shared stations. Councils still met, spoke carefully, and ended sessions without raised voices. To most species, the universe felt exactly the same. But inside the systems that guided everything, something was wrong. Models no longer agreed. Prediction engines returned results marked with unfamiliar symbols. Long, stable outcomes began to drift. Probabilities refused to settle into clean shapes. And every time the system searched for the source of the disruption, they returned to the same word: humanity. Eli Carter noticed the change during his next scheduled meeting. He sat in a wide, circular hall, surrounded by representatives from 6 different species. The room was bright, open, and designed to encourage calm discussion. Normally, meetings here followed a slow, careful rhythm. This one did not. Questions came too fast. Human envoy, said a tall delegate with skin like polished stone, your species classification was altered. Yes, Eli replied calmly. How? Asked another, its voice filtered through liquid tones. We talked, Eli said. That caused a pause. You spoke to the system? A third delegate asked. Eli nodded. It spoke back. That caused a longer pause. Across the hall, subtle tension spread. Not fear, not anger, something closer to uncertainty. The system does not speak, the stone-skinned delegate said. It evaluates. It asked questions, Eli replied. We answered honestly. Several delegates exchanged looks. Honesty is not a strategy, one said. Eli smiled faintly. For us, it is. The meeting ended without resolution. That alone was unusual. Larry felt the consequences more directly. She stood in the archivist hall, surrounded by endless shelves of living records. Normally, this place felt safe to her. Predictable. Ordered. Today, it felt like it was watching her. Her supervisor approached, tall, thin, and perfectly composed. Archivist Larry, the elder said, you deviated from protocol. Yes, Larry replied quietly. You interfered with a classification process, the elder continued. You acted. Larry lowered her eyes. Yes, the elder studied her. Why? They asked. Larry thought of the flowing human data, of contradiction without collapse, of survival without permission. Because the system was wrong, she said. Silence followed. Finally, the elder spoke. The system has issued an amendment, they said. Humanity is now designated as a reference civilization. Larry looked up, stunned. A reference? She asked. Yes, the elder said. A species the system must observe in order to improve itself. Larry's breath caught. And my punishment? She asked. The elder hesitated. There is no protocol for this outcome, they admitted. Your actions caused instability and correction. Larry waited. You are reassigned, the elder said. You will observe humanity, her heart pounded. Observe, she echoed. Yes, the elder said, closely. Larry bowed her head. I will do so carefully. As the elder walked away, Larry allowed herself one small smile. Across the galaxy, subtle shifts began. Research coalitions that had stalled for decades suddenly reopened, with human advisors requested. Trade agreements once marked non-essential were quietly reconsidered. Data exchanges increased, not because humans demanded it, because systems recommended it. Humans noticed. They noticed when delays vanished without explanation. When polite refusals turned into cautious curiosity, when invitations arrived from places that had once ignored them. They did not celebrate loudly. They asked questions. On Earth, analysts stared at screens filled with unfamiliar projections. These models don't converge, one researcher said. They're not supposed to, another replied. They're adapting. Humanity's leaders debated responses. Some wanted to push forward, take advantage. Others urged caution. Arguments followed, as always. But beneath the disagreement there was a shared understanding. They had been seen, not as heroes, not as monsters, as themselves. Eli met Larry again on a smaller station, quieter and less formal. She looked different, less tense, still shy but steadier. They reassigned you, Eli said. Yes, Larry replied. To you, he laughed softly. I'm sorry, she shook her head. I am not. They walked slowly along a curved observation deck, stars drifting beyond the glass. The system is changing, Larry said. Because of you. Because of us, Eli corrected. She nodded. Other species are uneasy. Good, Eli said gently. So were we once. Larry hesitated. They ask why humans do not exploit this advantage. Eli stopped walking. Because it isn't an advantage like they think, he said. It's a responsibility. She looked at him. Explain. We didn't win, he said. We just showed up honestly. Now the system is learning from us. And that frightens it, Larry said. It should, Eli replied. Learning always does. They stood in silence, watching the stars. Human envoy, Larry said softly. Your species confuses the galaxy. Eli smiled. We confuse ourselves too. Behind them, unseen systems recalculated. Humanity had not dominated, had not threatened, had not conquered. They had simply refused to be reduced. And in doing so, they had changed how the galaxy understood intelligence, progress, and survival. The system was no longer certain, and for the first time, neither was the universe.